Audience, if I could eliminate one thing from this world, aliens gave me the death beam. I can point it at anything. It would be technical difficulties.
Big
little
facts.
different intro from about 2 hours ago. We already did this once. I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to keep it transparent around here, but we're going to deliver you a beautiful episode regardless. We got a jam-packed night. We're going to try to compact it to less than 2 hours this time around, but we're going to deliver you guys a show regardless. It's late now. It's a beautiful late night on a Monday. You guys are seeing this 7 o'clock Eastern on Tuesday, 6 p.m., the time zone we're in. We got a lot to talk about tonight. A lot of NFL topics, but college football is top of the hour. And we got some fun topics to start off. Is the ACC torch being passed? Florida State.
Whoa. What about Big Dog coming back?
Florida State. You know what? I'm off my game. It's 9 o'clock. Joe's here.
We got Joe, baby.
Joe's here. Guys, meet Joe.
We got Joe, baby.
Meet Joe. Hopefully this isn't too terribly rare of an occurrence, but you guys are going to love Joe. We just had two beautiful hours with Joe. Great episode we just recorded. You guys don't get to see it, though. Anyway, Joe is here.
Neither do we.
Neither do we. Joe's here. We love it. Joe's got a lot to talk about, guys. So
trust me, I got a lot.
Let's get into that. ACC torch is being passed. Florida State just beat Clemson in overtime. Joe, we're going to let you take the reins there to start. How do you feel about that one? Joe, as a
Clemson fan.
As a Clemson Tiger, I feel it's good for college football as a whole, honestly. When Florida State plays good football, college football usually has an up season. It's usually a one to watch. But Clemson and its reign of dominance definitely looks shaky. You see it in the defense after losing Brett Venables. You see it in the offense after losing, Trevor Lawrence. You lose a main guy like that. I would definitely say that there is a page turning in the ACC.
We got the exact game we thought we'd get out of this. This was our upset game of the week. Upset alert game of the week. We didn't pick it, but it was still the game for a reason.
Glad we didn't.
We got the slugfest we thought we were going to get. Clemson came out hot. Started the game, I believe, 10-0. I don't think it got to 13-0. I think it started 10-0 and turned into a little defensive slugfest, really slow paced. Up until that fourth quarter, we see a surge out of both teams. Ultimately, Clemson losing the game on a late turnover. A little fun fact. Dabo talked about it post-game. Clemson has given up 28 points so far in 4 games. They've given up 28 points off of turnovers.
It is hard to win football games on any level, high school, college, NFL, on any level when you're giving up that many points on turnovers. When you used to have a Clemson team that even when they did commit a turnover, that defense was good enough to be able to stop them and hold them to 3 points, no points. And now their defense went from a top tier to now giving up 28 points on turnovers. That's not winning football.
Giving up 31 points in an ACC game against Florida State. That's not something you see out of past Clemson teams.
Yeah.
This will be Clemson is 0-2 in conference play to start the season. This will be the first time since 2014 that Clemson is realistically a no contest for the ACC. That's also when we saw Jameis Winston at Florida State. 2014, he went to the college football playoff. They lost to Oregon in the first round there. And 2013, they won a national championship. The last BCS national championship, might I add.
Florida State.
Is Florida State in a renaissance period? Are we seeing Florida State come back to prominence? Are we seeing Florida State come back to contention? Or are we seeing a little bit of a TCU copy paste here? We seeing a little bit of a Cinderella run out of Florida State.
I think you can look at this year as maybe like a leaping off point. They're definitely good enough to be that TCU Cinderella team that will, ultimately, who knows? Maybe they'll make it to the college football, finals. Maybe they have a chance for a national championship. But I think with the culture that they built down there, you could be seeing Florida State near the top for the next couple of years for sure.
Yeah, they've got the foundation that was been laid and is now being shown out, and it's fun to see that team come into full fruition.
Are we gonna see? Is it good enough to see more than just a Cinderella run this year? Are we good enough to see contention out of Florida State this year? Remaining challenges, you've got Duke, you've got Miami, and you've got an out of conference game against Florida. That game may not matter as much if you win the other ones, but it is on the schedule. Are we good enough here to see a legitimate run, or is it just that Cinderella run?
And I think they are good enough, at least for sure this year. A Cinderella could be used, but I mean, only time will tell at this point. Who knows? I think they have a program down there that they believe they could probably do something, for years to come, but we'll see, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I think Jordan Travis has them in a position that they can make that Cinderella-like push. I can see it.
I like it.
I don't hate it.
A team up in Ohio who is looking not quite so Cinderella, looking a little bit better than a Cinderella. Just had a fiery game against Notre Dame.
Great game.
Passionate Ryan Day step into the microphone after the game and calling out 87-year-old Lou Holtz for comments.
What are we doing?
Really fiery after this one. Obviously, you're going to get emotional.
Leave Grandpa alone, dude.
Ryan Day isn't just responding to Lou Holtz there, to be fair. He's responding to comments Ohio State has seen for years. But Lou Holtz spoke only facts with what he said before this game. Ohio State has never been that physical team. They have always shied away in matchups like this until now, because they looked like the physically dominant team against this Notre Dame squad, and they got it done in the trenches all game. They got it done in the trenches to win the game.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Both being polite there. Okay, yes. I mean, you had Ohio State. I mean, they obviously, like you're saying, they dominated on both sides of the ball. Not only did they dominated that offense, they did it without top receiver. They did it without Marvin Harrison. They look like they can, rise up to the occasion. A lot of NFL teams, they can't even do that. They lose one of their top offensive guys, and they kind of crumble a little bit. And this team had the backup to step up. Kyle McCord stepped up huge for him. Trayvon Henderson, he stepped up big as a running back position, and he took that load. And I think that is going to show that Ohio State can do it.
I will say this. What Coach Lou Holtz was getting after is that they do usually crumble in big games. And it was nice to see that they were able to kind of meet the challenge and kind of face that stigma of like, we're not going to be that team. And on the other end, you got to look like Sam Hartman, played a game that we usually don't see out of Sam Hartman. He usually has 300 plus yards and at least a couple of touchdowns. So, I mean, it's definitely a good sign for that Ohio State team for sure that they are holding a team like Notre Dame, who has been hot and had come into the game very hot and looked like the better team through and through, and actually putting them, down a peg and saying, hey, we're Ohio State and we got a team.
All I'm going to say is depth wins championships. This team is highly projected coming into this season. Could this, of all teams Ryan Day has put on the field, could this be the one that actually genuinely goes and contends? The reason I say it could be is because of the current landscape of college football. Two things. One, I just said depth wins championships. It especially wins championships in the NIL era where there is little to no depth on these college football teams right now. Two, this college football landscape right now is completely wide open. I don't know who's the best team in college football right now. I don't think anybody knows who's the best team in college football right now is. I don't even think anybody's even slightly confident that the SEC has the best chance of winning it all this year. There's just too many questions, and I think this could be an Ohio State team that contends maybe simply on those merits alone.
Yeah, you guys know this a little bit more than the audience does. That I had a gripe with college football because of that reason. They had a lot of meaningless games, and it was always kind of every season you knew the teams that were going to dominate. You knew that Alabama was going to come and dominate. You knew Georgia was going to come dominate. You knew Clemson at the time was going to come and dominate. You know whoever. But like this season, there's teams coming out of nowhere. There's
I just want to
a lot of competition in it.
I just want to step in before we move on.
I agree.
The term meaningless games makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, meaningless games doesn't make any sense. But
Oregon,
I will say
State.
the parity that I see in college football now is something that's very refreshing, especially as someone, growing up, I used to know Alabama was going to be at the top, or Ohio State would be, competing to be towards the top every year. It's nice to see these certain teams. Oregon had a run, early on in the early 2000s, and I feel like people forget about that a little bit. And
Michael James,
all these teams can get their runs and get their moments, and I feel like this year is definitely one of those years that certain teams will be able to flash because it's been a consistent, like, we knew Georgia was going to win last year. Yeah. We knew Alabama was going to win, 5 years ago, or Clemson, 6 years ago or whatever.
And even when there was those teams that we knew were going to win, there was always like one other team that had a chance. Like when Alabama was going through it, LSU, where it's like, oh, we know that they're going to compete with them. Clemson, oh, we know at the time LSU and Alabama still were going to compete with them. Like Oregon, we knew Florida State and Jameis Winston was going to compete against them. And now this year, it's like it's anybody. It's anyone's championship this year.
I love how wide open it is. I love how we have no idea what to expect. It makes college football beautiful. We're going to see how college football keeps transitioning as everything keeps changing. Hopefully this is a very common occurrence that there are all these teams that are looking to contend. Maybe NIL is playing a bigger factor in that than we think. But let's address the elephant.
NIL.
Let's address the elephant in the room. Speaking of NIL, for sure.
Let's address the Buffalo here.
The Buffaloes got bucked off the top of the mountain this weekend. 24 hours later, a lot more than that, actually. We're 2 days later now at this point. Emotions have passed. The college football world has had their chance to react. We've had our chance to react. This is actually our second time reacting. But that aside, there's a lot to take away from this game. We're going to talk winners first because Oregon has earned it. Oregon has earned the right to be talked about first, and they're still not getting talked about first. So let's talk winners first. Oregon brought every trick out of the bag, every single one of them. That's normally something you see out of a team that is desperate. You saw that out of a team that wanted to crush their opponent.
They went into this game wanting to embarrass Colorado.
100%.
Let me
read some numbers here. Ducks won this game in several categories. Obviously, the scoreboard. They won in yards, 522 to 199. First downs, 30 to just 13.
That's insane.
They won in time of possession. They held the ball for 35 minutes to, I believe, Colorado's roughly like 17. Sacks were 7-2. Shedeur Sanders was running for his life this entire game. You expected it. And you've also expected this whole time. We've expected this whole time. The one thing that was going to touch this Colorado team is a physical front. And that physical front for Oregon just took it to them. Just dominated.
That we knew coming into this game and this season that Colorado had the struggles on the offensive line. We saw it last week against Colorado State. We saw it against Nebraska. They had their times of struggles against them. I couldn't tell you who they played week one, but we saw their struggles on the offensive line, and it took a dominating defensive line to show how bad that offensive line really is.
TCU week one, by the way.
TCU. Yep.
Oregon, in my opinion, just looked like more of a well-rounded team. I keep bringing that up. I feel like the defense was playing at a very high level. The offense was playing at a very high level. When you don't have the same across the ball, it can kind of get ugly. Not saying that Deion didn't have his guys ready, because there's a lot of talk about how they prepare and about how they run the program. But no disrespect. I've been on the Colorado bandwagon. I think they still are a very good team. I think they still have a chance to win some ball games this year. But I think they ran into a little buzzsaw here with Oregon.
Yeah.
And
they fell out the top 25, didn't they?
Yep, entirely. I think Dan Lanning and his squad felt a little disrespected here coming into this week because you come in and people are talking about Colorado. Dan Lanning's had skin in the game for 15 years now. This dude's a long time.
He's a 10-year vet
coach. This dude knows what he's doing, and he's got a well-established program. The fact that Oregon was favored. They were favored fairly heavily in this game.
I think they were 21 point favorite.
Something like that. So obviously it's not that much disrespect, but media definitely leaned on the side of Colorado. The public leaned on the side of Colorado. So you see a little disrespect there, and Dan Lanning came in and, I mean, he shut it down. He did what he needed to do, and they won the game.
Yeah.
Speaking of people doing what they need to do, Bo Nix had a Heisman game of his own, 276 yards and 3 touchdowns. Very
and I think he added a rushing touchdown in there too. I think he added a rushing touchdown, like a 5-yard little scamper.
He might add a rushing touchdown in there as well. I really don't even want to address Colorado, but we can talk a little bit of stats on him. Ended the first half with just 89 yards. And all we saw all game was major offensive line issues. They had no push, couldn't get a run established, couldn't give Shedeur Sanders any time. Obviously, not being able to establish the run is going to do that for you, but they just couldn't get really anything going. I don't know. We expected it. It was going to happen eventually. I don't know how this team does going forward. How do they favor against USC next week?
One thing we haven't mentioned yet is, I mean, they were without Travis Hunter.
Correct.
Obviously, Travis Hunter isn't a 42-point swing.
No.
But, like, I mean, that man, the first 3 weeks is putting up numbers, you know, and, like, losing a high-powered guy like that is hard. And I think it shrunk their offense a little more than people want to admit. And I think that hurt him a lot. And I don't think he's back next week. I think he's out like 4 or 5 weeks.
He's out past Arizona State, more than likely.
I thought so. And I think that this USC team, that's a hard team to bounce back against.
Yeah. They have a whole gauntlet to run still as far as games go for Colorado, especially in the next couple of weeks. We'll see against USC, I guess. Battle, in my opinion, of what should be Heisman candidates. I thought Shedeur has had an exceptional first couple games, even despite the offensive line struggles, discounting this last game, obviously. We'll see how he bounces back in this next one. I'm expecting something big because Shedeur Sanders will not,
He's going to lay down.
Disappoint. He's not going to
bounce back kind of a guy.
Let's quickly address the haters in the room. Couple of things. We'll start with the Colorado aspect here. Don't switch your tune. Don't switch your tune on Colorado.
Yeah.
Because
still a
you're
good
getting a lot
team.
of that. Not even just that. It's the fact that this team won 1 game last year. This team was projected to win 3 games this year, and they've already won that 3. They're probably going to win a good 6 or 7, maybe get to that 8-win range. Probably not. I say 6 or 7. But either way, that is massively exceeding expectations in Deion's first year. Massively. And all of a sudden, you got a lot of people switching tune on them, saying, "Oh, they're not what you guys thought they were. We told you so. We told you so." You didn't tell us anything because they were projected for 3 wins. They already hit those 3 wins. So you didn't tell us anything. They're not something different than we thought they were. We didn't think they were winning a national championship. They're still exceeding expectations. I mean, and on the Oregon side, don't give Deion different treatment than you give other head coaches.
Yeah.
The fact that Dan Lanning is getting all the hate that he's getting for his pregame speech, when he's doing the exact same thing to fire up his team that Deion has been praised for 4 games now. Don't switch the tune there either. Don't make it to where these other coaches can't inspire their teams with their words, with calling out their opponent. Because Deion's done it every single week, and you guys have ate it up. You've admired it. You've looked up to him for it. Other coaches can do the exact same thing. That's my 2 cents.
You can't take what they're trying to do is take the passion out of the football game.
100%.
Sure. And what he was saying doesn't seem to be wrong. He said, what was it? We're playing for wins. They're playing for clicks or something like that.
Yep.
Clips.
We settle our games on the grass. They settle theirs in Hollywood.
Realistically, if you look at it, a lot of their players, that's kind of how they were doing it.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to disrespect what Colorado has done because they were playing very good football, but
they're beautifully exploiting NIL right now.
Yeah.
I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Let Oregon do Oregon. Let the teams talk garbage and have that mutual respect at the end of the game.
That's competition. And we're trying to take
I was going to say that's the love of the game. If you talk to any person who was ever able to reach another level, it was because of their mentality and because of coaches getting on them and being like, hey, we are better than these other guys. Don't let anybody tell you anything different. Let all the media talk their talk. We know what we got and we're going to keep what we got going on. That's just him being 100% real, 100% a human being.
I'm going to never dog a coach for being who they are and not being fake,
I agree.
We want to make some predictions. Zoe, we want to do right now? Do we want to make some college football predictions here? It's a big prediction episode. We got a lot of them on deck. So let's get right to them. We're going to start with Heisman. We're going to start with Heisman picks. I'm going to read you some odds here before we make our Heisman picks. We got Caleb Williams at plus 350. We've got Michael Penix Jr. at plus 350. Quinn Ewers coming in at plus 600. Bo Nix coming in at plus 1,200. Jordan Travis rounding out the pack at plus 1,300. What do we got? Who wants to make the first pick?
I'll start off. I am a big fan of that guy. Technically tied for first place, and I always say his name wrong. Penix Jr. Penix. I'm a big fan of him because that man, he's got the Huskies looking really good. That offense is clicking. He's throwing the ball. As you can see the stats, he's got 1,600 plus yards and 16 touchdowns through 4 games. That's absurd. He is doing it in the air. He can also. I've always been a big fan of the dual threat quarterback, as I'm wearing Matt Stafford, but he's a dual threat. He can do it with his legs. He can do it with his arms. He can scramble out of the pocket and still make a deep pass downfield on the run. I am a big fan of him, and I like him getting that Heisman Trophy.
And he's got the Washington Huskies looking dangerous. Joe,
they look dangerous.
I like the Michael Penix pick. I'm gonna go with Quinn Ewers. I honestly think the Texas Longhorns do not go without Quinn Ewers. Honestly, against Alabama, he looked good against an SEC defense and a Nick Saban defense at that.
He looked dominant in that game.
I think, and he looked good last year before he got hurt. I think he is at his best possible place right now, physically, mentally, and I think Texas has a chance to make him shine. And I think at the end of the year, I think Quinn Ewers is going to be holding the Heisman Trophy.
I like it. I like the pick.
I like that.
I'm going to lean Zach's direction here. I'm going to lead Michael Penix Jr. He's my Heisman pick. I'm not going to sugarcoat that. Michael Penix Jr. looks very dangerous. And from a Heisman standpoint, he's got the statistics. Not only that, he's got the team. That team just so happens to be my dark horse pick for the Pac-12 championship. My 2 cents on that. Their route to the Pac-12 championship is going to go through Oregon. And if you can win that Oregon game, you are likely going to be seated in that championship game. Obviously, other wins got to happen as well. But that Oregon team is going to be your biggest bump. Likely, you're going to be seated right there, probably against USC. So that's my matchup. Pac-12 championship, USC, Washington. And I'm going to be honest, this Huskies team has been quietly building in the background for several seasons now. I think they've got the pieces. I think they've got a scary defense. They've got one of the best defenses in the Pac-12, if not the best defense in the Pac-12 on their best day. You put that together with just a scary good offense. Michael Penix Jr. is going to be a dude at the next level. A very, very good dude. Possibly one of your top picks this year if Caleb Williams ends up not going in the draft. Give me Washington for my Pac-12 conference champions this year. Utah's not three-peating.
I see. I don't hate that, but I am going to have to go with the other team you said they're going to have to go through. I like Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks. Like you were saying about the Huskies with a very good defense. That Oregon defense is nothing to play around with. They showed it this week. They can shut down a high-powered offense, and they can do it with ease because they looked very good, not just last week, but all season. And Bo Nix has that offense doing something special. I'm taking Oregon to win that Pac-12.
I like it, Joe. What are you?
I second Zach's idea on Oregon. I think Oregon is the most well-rounded, and I keep saying that because I do believe it. They're the most well-rounded team in the Pac-12. In the last year of the Pac-12, I think the Oregon Ducks make it out as the final champions. And who knows? Maybe they might make a run towards something bigger.
I think
Danny Lanning has got those guys fired up there, and I think they got a real shot. They got a real shot.
That team's poised. They're ready. They've got a great leader on that offense. They've got a great defense. They've got all the pieces.
Great experienced leader on that offense.
Moving along pretty quickly here. I think our next three are going to be pretty simple. Big Ten. I'm going to lean more towards Ohio State. I think Ohio State is the more complete team there. I think they're the deeper team in the Big Ten. I don't think it's Michigan's year. I think Ohio State, they're for the first time in several years, they're not gimmicky. This team looks ready to win. They've got more of a scrappy guy in that leadership role at quarterback. They don't got any really designated pieces. They've just got depth that wants to go out and physically win football games. I think that's the leap Ohio State makes, and I think they win that conference.
I'm going to disagree with you again and go with the other team you mentioned again. I like Michigan. I like what McCarthy's doing on that offensive side, and they just got Harbaugh back, and that team looks poised and ready to go. They got a little bit of a chip on their shoulder after last year. Losing to the Cinderella team we talked about earlier, TCU, and I think they come back hungry, and I think they take that conference.
Taking Michigan, Joe. What do we got?
I think it's definitely going to be a matchup between the Buckeyes and the Wolverines.
Well, that matchup's not possible.
Well, that's right. It's not going to be in the championship
matchup.
Yeah,
but that's going to be either one of those teams are going to be the champions, and I honestly do think it's Ohio State. I think Ryan Day finally has gotten over this idea that he can't win a big ball game where people say, oh, you got to be more physical than this team. I think he's finally tired of that, and I think he's finally going to do it this year, and they're going to win the Big Ten this year, honestly.
I like it.
I mean, I don't disagree with it. I think Ryan Day did show that with this big win against Notre Dame, that he can win those big games. But I don't think he can win a big game in Michigan.
Let's
in the big house.
Maybe not. Let's zoom past these next two. Big 12, other than Oklahoma, I don't think you see a lot of competition for Texas. They got over their early season big hump. They got to get over those lackadaisical games where sometimes they drop one or two. You can't have that this year. That's where we're going to see if Texas is a complete team. I think Texas takes the Big 12.
Yep, I think Quinn Ewers runs away with that.
I completely agree.
Moving on from that pretty quickly. ACC, I think we're majority probably sitting with Florida State.
Florida State.
I think they're the most complete team. I could see arguments out of Miami. Joe, I know you have mentioned Miami before.
Yeah, they got a decent team down there in Miami. Their offense is pretty good. Their defense, as always, is pretty all right. They're the only team that's really going to be able to really give, I think, that Florida State team a run. And I don't know. I think this Florida State team almost has that feeling of destiny to it this year in the ACC.
I think, like we said last week, the only team beating Florida State is Florida State this year. And I think if they could fumble a little bit and they could lose a game here or there, and we could have a kind of lackadaisical end of the season, one we don't really want to see. But I think they remain strong. I think that's your team to beat in the ACC this year. Florida State takes it for me. The SEC.
Yep.
This one's
a little more open.
This one's a little more open for sure. I don't think Alabama's any longer in the running. You've got Georgia on one side. My pick, though, I'm going to go with LSU. They got smacked a little bit in week 1, but I think that was more of a blessing than a curse for LSU. They haven't looked back. Ever since that smacking, they haven't looked back. They've looked phenomenal on both ends of the ball. They're playing very physical football up front. They're playing very physical football in their secondary. They're making big hits. Their turnover margin is one of the best in the country. I believe they're sitting at +3. That offense looks phenomenal. Jaden Daniels looks great. I think LSU is the team to beat, at least in the West this year. They're going to have to get past Georgia, but I don't think Georgia three-peats. That's just my pick there. You wanna see a three-peat, you got to go all the way back to about 1934. Shout out Minnesota. I don't think Georgia does it. And I think LSU shocks some people in Brian Kelly's second year, and I think they win the SEC.
I think we throw it back to 1934, and I think Georgia wins it again. I don't think they haven't looked obviously as good as Georgia did last year, but I mean, you had our 2 Heisman hopefuls, arguably 3 on that offense last year, and you've seen a fall off, but they haven't fell off enough that I am willing to take that SEC championship away from them yet.
Still
Might
really
see it, but I'm
team.
taking Georgia still. Yeah,
Joe, who we got?
I agree with Zach in this situation. I think the Georgia Bulldogs are the most well-coached team still in the college football scene.
For sure.
Honestly, Kirby Smart, he's got a thing going on down there in Athens. I think them dogs are ready to roll, and I think they got another year in them. I think they're winning the SEC title again this year.
I definitely do not dislike the pick. We got national championship picks. We'll go a little quick here. There's no reason to read too much into this because it's week 4. There's a lot of football left to be played. As of right now, I think the best team, to me, who looks like the best team in college football right now, give me the Texas Longhorns, man. I definitely think they run away with the Big 12. I definitely think they've played some of the best football this year. I think this team's looking to compete. You've got an Alabama-esque coaching staff there, quite literally all Alabama coaches. You've got really, really good athletes there. Quinn Ewers is a leader this year. He's changed up his style. He's changed up how he leads, how he plays. He got a haircut. Maybe that's their good luck charm, man. Maybe that's their good luck charm, man. Give me the Longhorns, national champs. Very early pick here.
I'm taking a little more bold. I guess I don't know how bold, but I think I'm taking Bo Nix and the Oregon Ducks. That team looks very good.
I like that pick a lot.
They look very good. They got offense is obviously clicking. We're seeing it. We saw it last week. We've seen it all year. That offense looks really good. That defense is in the trenches. They might have one of the better front sevens or front fives in the college football. Defensively, they are just dominating. Very well coached team, and I think Bo Nix is. I think he's the. We didn't talk runner up, but I think Bo Nix is your runner up Heisman, and I think he's holding that national championship trophy at the end of the year.
I like it, Joe. What are your thoughts?
Now I know that it's been almost 100 years since there's been a three-peat in college football, but I have this feeling that I think that Kirby Smart and those Georgia Bulldogs aren't going to lay down. I think they're going to go out there and they're going to be like, all right, you know what? I think we can win 3.
Hey, man,
I think we're going to do it.
Repeats itself sometimes.
Hey, they do say that. They also say defense wins championships. And I think this defense continues to be one of the top, not the top defense in college football year in and year out.
Bulldogs got a defense. You know who doesn't have an offense? The Iowa Hawkeyes. Joe,
Iowa.
are you ready? Are you ready for your first message board maniacs?
Bring it on.
College football message boards. They're one of the best places to go after college football games. And we've got two teams this week. We've got Iowa and we've got Auburn. We're going to jump right into these Iowa message boards. Not a lot to be happy about after that Penn State game. You got a lot of people calling out some nepotism, calling out, lack of offense. Let me talk about that lack of offense real quick. Iowa gained just 70.
I don't even think it's a lack of offense. I think it's literally zero offense.
Gained
They're
just 76 total yards against Penn State. Penn State ran 21 more plays than Iowa had first downs. Penn State, I believe, I'm blanking on stats now, but it wasn't good. It wasn't good. Iowa looked really, really bad. Kirk says there's no problem. Says there's no problem. Nothing's gonna change.
How I don't understand. I went off when we recorded the first time, and I'm still upset about it when we bring it up the second time. I don't understand how, as a head coach, you can say that there's no problem when you went from last week having a very good offensive performance against a not great defense, but a okay defense nonetheless. I understand you're going into Penn State. You're going against the crowd. You're going against the noise, one of the loudest stadiums in college football, on whiteout, whatever. Great defense. But how can they say that they want to be a top team and they want to compete for this Big Ten championship, but then lay an absolute egg against the top team in the country?
Can't even compete against the top teams.
And we get these recruits in. We get Cam McNamara, Cade McNamara, not Cam, who's supposed to come in and just be this guy. Granted, he lost Luke Lachey.
Paid $600,000 for Cade McNamara, by the
way. There's a problem, Kirk. There's a problem.
There's a problem, Kirk. Zach says there's a problem. I got a brief solution for that problem. Your biggest problem with the Hawks right now, to me, is your trenches, especially that offensive line. But your problem's not necessarily Brian Ferentz. Your problem is where you put Brian Ferentz. Why not put him right back in that offensive line room? Why not put him right back to coaching those offensive lines that he was producing Hall of Famer after Hall of Famer in? Why not put him right back in that room as opposed to offensive coordinator? Just give him a pay raise in that room. Let him coach those guys. Keep him away from your offense. Maybe you'll go back to winning some football games. I mean, you're Iowa. You're going to win 9 or 10 games against your Big Ten West schedule and get blown out in the championship anyway. But still, I mean, it is what it is. I don't know. That's my 2 cents. That's my quick solution there. Let's talk some Auburn fans. Auburn fans are not happy. Tigers brought in Hugh Freeze. And Hugh Freeze was supposed to save this offense. Hugh Freeze was supposed to open up an air raid there in Auburn.
Instead, he froze that offense.
Instead, that air raid offense opened up 44 passing yards against Texas A&M in a very, very sluggish matchup. Yikes. Yikes is all I can say there. Hugh Freeze is supposed to bring on that electric offense. Little comment we got here. If people are patient enough, speaking about Auburn fans, to let them build it, let Hugh Freeze build this program, you might end up seeing what you want to see. How long are Auburn fans willing to wait is the question.
I feel like if you're an Auburn fan, your window of opportunity for success is small. And that's all you've ever really experienced is a small window of success as like a football program, where the best football programs in the country aren't built overnight. Like Rome wasn't built in a day. No. And you gotta stick with the guy even through the tough times, even through the hard times. You gotta be able to be like, all right, this guy doesn't have maybe all the personnel that he would want in the building, maybe give him an off season, give him a chance to get the guys that he would want.
Yeah.
Give him a recruiting class. Who knows? And the whole one-off idea, especially in the college football game, doesn't make much sense to me.
You got to let guys build. There's a lot of moving parts in college football. My question is, can Auburn fans wait? Because we've talked about it as a group. Auburn has had no real success outside of those years just before Cam Newton and then with Cam Newton winning a national championship. They've had no real success before or after that, especially after that. Can this team wait a 5-year period? In the SEC, mind you.
I don't think they can. I think they should.
Yeah.
Because I think they've got the foundation. They're starting that foundation to be able to be another, I don't want to say powerhouse because I don't think they'll get quite to that point, but I think they can get to the point where they're a legitimate problem. Like where you actually want to prepare for them instead of just being like, well, it's Auburn. So, but I don't think Auburn fans will wait for it.
We'll see. We're going to have to see. That is Message Board Maniacs. A lot of fans in shambles.
A lot of fans in shambles because their offense
more fans could be in shambles after these games this weekend. Spotlight features, baby. We got a few games here.
Let's get it.
Let's start off with number 10 Utah 4-0, 1.5 point favorites on the road at number 19 Oregon State 3-1. I love this game because
this is gonna be a fun one.
I think this game is going to be an absolute physical dogfight. My 2 cents on this one: if Oregon State wants to win this game, DJ Uiagalelei and that offense, they're going to have to try to make this one a shootout. But I think it's going to be a really rough physical game. It's going to be low scoring. And in that case, give me Utah to cover.
I'm going to have to go against you there again. I like Oregon State on a bit of an upset.
Okay.
I think Cam Rising comes back, and I think that's a huge boost for the Utah, but I think he has a little bit of rust.
Little chemistry
coming into
issues coming in.
Little chemistry issues he's going to have to shake off, and I think he does. I don't think he shakes it off enough in time because, I mean, Oregon State showed that they have a top front team offensive line. They give Uga, whatever his name is, Uga Muga the time they give him the time to throw the football, and he looks good. Yeah. He has shown that he is a top quarterback in the country, and he's willing to stand in the pocket and deliver good balls down the field. I like Oregon State.
I like it. On an upset pick. Joe, who do we got?
I'm going to go with the Utes as well. I think they have a really good program up there. They've been excelling every year. They're towards the top of the Pac-12 every year.
Back-to-back champs.
It's not a surprise for me for them to be this good again. Give me the Utes again in a good game. It's definitely going to be a close one. I don't know about the cover or any of that. Maybe a 1-point game. Who knows?
I like it.
Can we talk about how stupid of a mascot that is? The Utah Utes.
We've got number 13 LSU
anything better
at 3-1, going on the road to take on number 20 Ole Miss at 3-1. Little fun fact about Ole Miss. Little fun fact about Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin is 1-19 in his last 20 matchups against top 20 opponents. Just want to throw that out there as I pick LSU to win this game and cover the 1.5 point spread.
I agree with you. I think Jaden Daniels is a top-tier quarterback. I think they play a really good game. I think the way that LSU plays the game of football is really, really fun to watch. Really, really good game. Ole Miss definitely has a tough time against good teams, and I don't think Lane Kiffin will get it with this one. So,
yep, I'm going to throw that. I think LSU looks really good. I think they're primed for another really good game here, and I think they win this game running away. I think they kind of handle this.
Away with it. A little blowout win. Is that what your prediction is here?
Little blowout win here.
Little blowout win.
I think it's. I don't think it's a blowout game in a sense on the scoreboard. I think it's a blowout game. I mean, I think they win by double digits, but I think it's a. You're going to see the stats. You're going to be like, yeah, LSU won this game.
I like it. We've got number 11 Notre Dame off of a heartbreaker, 3-1, going on the road to take on number 17 Duke. Duke, a very dual threat team behind Riley Leonard, passing and rushing for nearly a touchdown a game. I think he's a little short on those rushing touchdowns, but he's it rounds up. Dual threat offense there. Kind of a gimmicky offense, but a gimmicky offense can get you off of a emotional loss like the one against Ohio State. That said, gonna make another quick pick here. I'm gonna go Notre Dame, but I'm not going to take them to cover the 5.5 point spread.
Brady was offsides. I'm taking Duke. Give me Riley Leonard in his dual threat quarterback. Give me them to upset Notre Dame.
I like it. It's at home. Duke's looking to prove themselves a little bit.
Duke's looked very good to start the season, and I think they continue this hot streak.
We'll see.
And I think they still need to stick to basketball, but I like them to win this game.
We'll see.
In the words of the great Lee Corso, not so fast, my friend. I think that Notre Dame is going to take that last loss personally, especially from Ohio State. They had a lot of fire and a lot of passion. I know Marcus Freeman had those guys really fired up for that game. It was going to be a stepping stone, possibly to like a national championship. That being the case, I think he's going to continue to preach, we can't lose another one. If we want to be where we want to be, we can't lose another one. I think that they cover the spread. I think it's a double-digit game. I think Notre Dame walks away with it.
Taking that spread, I like it. You boys ready to go under the headlights here? You guys ready to dive into our upset alert of the week, Zach? Not upset pick, upset alert of the week.
It better not be an upset pick because I'm not picking it.
Texas, 4-0. They are at home against Kansas, who is also 4-0. Texas is a 17-point favorite. Let me tell you guys, before we continue, why I picked Kansas to potentially be the upset here. Not only
that's just silly.
do I think they are a more respectable team than you guys will give them credit for. If anyone's going to take down Texas, if any of those lackadaisical games are going to take down Texas, it's destiny that it's Kansas. It's been Kansas the last 2 seasons. Not only that, that Fancy Tricks offense is nicely complemented with a +3 turnover margin through 4 games. Kansas's offense is 20th in the country in explosive plays compared to Texas's 56th. A little fun fact about the explosive stat. Explosiveness is passing plays of 20+ yards and rushing plays of 10+ yards. The team who leads in the explosiveness statistic in any given game wins that game 87% of the time. That is why I put this game up as our potential upset. That said, give me Texas.
Still picking Texas.
But I'm not taking Texas to cover that 17 points.
I'll take Kansas to cover I'll take Texas to cover that 17-point spread. I'm here for it. I don't think this Kansas offense is legit. I really don't. I think they're going to try to get too fancy against a very good technical defense, and that offense is going to get exposed.
I agree with Zach. I think Kansas has no chance of winning this game. I think Quinn Ewers is going to show why he is a Heisman hopeful and why he should be a Heisman Trophy winner at the end of the year. I think he's going to throw for 400 yards and a bunch of touchdowns.
Dang.
Give me the Longhorns. I don't think these Jayhawks ain't got nothing.
I knew I'd catch some flack for putting this game up, but you guys just wait and see. I've been pretty hot on my upset alert game.
Yeah, so. you have been pretty hot. I mean, you've been wrong, but
I've been wrong. That's gonna do it. That's gonna do it for college football. Bottom half of the hour. We hit about 45 minutes there. We're gonna get you guys into the second half of the episode here. Before we do that, I want to ask you guys a favor. I want to ask you guys a very simple favor, very quick favor. It takes about 3 seconds. Pause the video, tilt your phone, hit subscribe. If you've made it to this point in the video and you aren't subscribed, what are you doing? Tell your friends. Tell them to subscribe. We're trying to hit milestones here. Trying to hit 100 first. And we'll talk about, once we get to that point, we'll talk about some potential giveaways. I'm not saying t-shirts are for sale, but t-shirts are a thing. Anyway, let's talk some NFL, boys. We got a weekly recap. Minnesota, the Vikings. The Vikings are in shambles. The Vikings are in shambles. They fall to 0-3, lost 28-24 to the Chargers. Kirk Cousins took another 4 sacks, 8 quarterback pressures. Vikings managed to gain 475 offensive yards, play the more disciplined football game, only 6 penalties, no personal fouls. Those 6 penalties were like 68 yards. They only lost the turnover battle by 1. Somehow they look like the significantly worse team the entire game.
Yeah.
What's going on?
It's so the Kirk Cousins is not the issue. And a lot of people are going to say that he is. But I think the issue is it's bigger than that. Because, I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, but Kirk Cousins said in an interview that he didn't know he had the authority at the end of the game to spike that football. And he spikes that football, gets him into a huddle, runs an actual play. Granted, the pass that he threw to T.J. Hawkins, it should have been caught, but it wasn't. But he can get them into a position where they're in a huddle, getting an actual good play going, getting something for Stephon. Nope, not Stephon Diggs anymore. Good golly. One of the best receivers. There it is. Thank you. Why could I not think of his name? Get a play for Jefferson and in the red zone, who's a big threat. Get a play for Hawkinson. Get a play for literally anyone. But I think their issue is bigger than what you're seeing on the field. It's front office, it's coaching staff, it's everything.
I think their issue starts in the locker room and in that building because there's something very negative clearly brewing on that team. And I don't know how far that reaches out, and I don't know where it stems from, but you can see it. It's visible. It's there. Yep. And it's ugly.
I think they're putting more pressure on themselves than they need to. I think they're thinking Super Bowl or bust at this point, and they should, because this team has done nothing but either grow and become better over time, like their defense in certain areas and their offense in certain areas. You're expecting that, but when you start the season 0-3, it flips the script, and you have to think we got to start winning ball games at some point. Otherwise, what do you do?
The worst thing about it is they were 3 very, very winnable games. They've come down to last second or to honestly just dumb mistakes that the Vikings have made. And I don't want to talk bad about the Vikings, but I'm going to as a Lions fan. Lions get a lot of flack for wasting some Hall of Fame careers. Vikings are kind of on the same path.
Vikings are right there with them.
They did it with a running back already with Adrian Peterson.
List them.
And they're kind of on the path to do it right now with another receiver in Justin Jefferson. And Kirk Cousins. But at least Matt Stafford got out of there and won a ring.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talent wasted there between the two you said, between Adam Thielen, between Dalvin Cook. You've had some really, really good defenses.
Jared Allen, Asante Samuel, Antoine Winfield.
It's been something else.
You had the purple people eaters, and
I don't know where that rebuild starts, but I don't think it starts with any one position on the field. I think there's a lot of deeper issues on that team. But let's talk
about a rebuild that's gone really well.
About a rebuild that's gone phenomenally well. The Dolphins look too good to not talk about. The Dolphins look too good to ignore for any longer. The Dolphins just routed Denver 70-20 this weekend for the NFL's 4th 70-point game. Again, they look way too good to ignore. Let's read some key performances from this matchup. Tua Tagovailoa, 23 for 26, completed his first 18 passes of the game, 309 yards, 4 touchdowns. Devon Achane, that's how I'm going to pronounce it. I'm sorry if it's wrong. 18 carries, 203 yards, 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, 9 receptions, 157 yards, and a touchdown. Raheem Mostert, 13 carries, 82 yards, 3 touchdowns. Wow.
That second name you mentioned, I'm just going to throw this out there. That's their backup running back doing that.
I think it's one of the only games that ever had 5 rushing touchdowns and 5 passing touchdowns in it.
Yep.
I believe you're right.
That's insane. I think it's the only game. I don't think it's one of. I think it's the only game that has had that. And that's just absolutely crazy. It's insane how good that offense is. They're a legit team. Their team, the NFC or AFC and the NFL needs to be scared of.
Devil's
advocate, you're getting your wish. We're talking about the Dolphins
because I like to play it. It makes sense. It makes sense in week 4 of the NFL for sure. There's a lot of football left to be played. I really, really, really like this Dolphins team. I think this Dolphins team could do a lot of positive things, but let's pose the question here. Is this Dolphins run real, or is this Dolphins run too good to be true? I think this Dolphins team is very good. Let's talk about a few things here. Tua Tagovailoa, definitively the number 1 quarterback on every single power rating metric out there. The Dolphins are top 12 in defensive rankings. Run defense lowers that a little bit, but the last 5 Super Bowl champions have been top 8 in defensive rankings. They're top 5 in their pass rush, on par with the last 5 champs as well there. They quite possibly, in my opinion, have the best playmakers on the football field on both sides of the ball. This team, to me, looks really good. I am going to say this could be a very legit run for the Dolphins.
I think it is a very legit run.
I think if you look back even to last year, they had good moments and good points of the season where they were the hottest team in football. Mm-hmm. And we got a glimpse of like what could be from this Miami Dolphins team. And I think they're finally getting it all put together. I think Mike Daniels down there has actually put together a really
very good football team.
Really good football team. They're fast. They're physical. They're going to do amazing things in their division. I think they run away with that division personally.
Yeah. Little bit of a bold prediction about this Dolphins team. Tua's on pace for 6,000 yards. Do I think he gets there? Probably not.
You're going to have some hiccups here and there.
But I don't know how bold this is, honestly. I think you're going to have 2 receivers very definitely over 1,000 yards. And I think you're going to have 2 receivers definitely pushing 1,500 yards. If they can keep up this play that they've got a very good chance to have 2 1,500-yard receivers. And
if they keep up the pace,
I don't think there's question about it.
You have to keep in mind this outlier game we just saw of loads of offensive production. That game is not going to remain consistent every game.
If you look at the stats, though, the stats don't line up with obviously a backup running back having 203 yards is definitely an outlier.
That has nothing to do with Tua or receiving.
So Tua is 4 touchdowns, 309 yards. He's consistently been putting up 300 yards. Tyreek Hill has been consistently putting up 150-plus yards every game. Jalen Waddle, I don't know. I'm not sure how his stats were this game, but, I mean, it's Jalen freaking – that offense looks incredible. I think I am very high on this Dolphins team.
Waddle was out this game, no?
Yeah, I think he was out.
I think you're right.
I believe Waddle was out this game. No, I think
that's the other thing is they're putting up 70 points without Jalen Waddle. That's absurd.
I don't think it's too good to be true. I think barring injuries, barring silly mistakes, barring shooting themselves in the foot, I think this Dolphins run could be one of the realest runs we've seen in a while. They could have more than just Dan Marino to cling on to here after this
season. Could we see a second perfect season by the same team?
We could.
No.
Hypothetically, we could.
He said no.
No. I'm gonna bring up the point, but no.
I'll bring it up, but I'm not gonna stick to it by no means.
Let's bring up another point here. Surprise! Out of the NFC North, Lions and Packers start strong at 2-1. I don't think a lot of people had this start in mind.
I had them starting 3-0, but
who's gonna take the North?
The Detroit Fighting Lions and Jared Goff.
Okay. I'm gonna let Joe start this one because we know Zach's thoughts here.
Okay, so here's my idea. I think that the Packers look a lot better than what I think people were thinking that they were going to be looking like at this point in the year. I don't know if anybody really knew what Jordan Love was going to be, but he's performing pretty well throughout 3 weeks, and I think he's had his moments and his slip-ups, but I do think that this Lions team is destined to be definitely one of the best teams in the league this year. Their defense throughout the last couple of weeks has looked really good, and they have done nothing but reload that defense and make it the best possible that it can be. And towards the end of the year last year, they were the best offense in the last 8 weeks of the year last year. They had the best offense. it has kind of not reciprocated a little bit towards the beginning of the year. Granted, they've run into a couple good defenses, and injuries on the offensive line have hurt them a lot as well. So I don't know. I think the Lions have a real good chance to walk away with the North this year.
Well, luckily for us, we actually get to see these two teams face off Thursday night at Lambeau. Comes soon.
We'll live Thursday night to break down that game. Free plug.
We'll talk about that. Comes sooner than later. We get to see them in just a few days here. So, that'll be one of probably the most telling football games of the early season on Thursday.
Let me be a Lions fan real quick.
Okay.
This last game against the Atlanta Falcons, right? The Atlanta Falcons, arguably going into this game, have possibly the best rush offense in the league, behind probably Philadelphia and 49ers. But they have the running back room of Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, who look very good going into this week.
Love Bijan.
Held them to 44 total yards. 40. I don't know. I think I'm getting the 44 from the stat we were talking about earlier, but held them to sub 100 yards. And Jahmyr Gibbs, who doesn't get talked about as much as Bijan Robinson, outperformed him. And I think in all facets of this game, the Lions dominated.
Yeah.
They won the turnover. Actually, I don't think they did win the turnover because of they may have because of the forced fumble at the end of the game. I think it was tied and then they won it at the end. But they won total yards, they won passing yards, they won rushing yards, they won the defensive side of the ball. And that's their offensive side of the ball. Offensive line, very banged up. They're down to the third string guard. Penei Sewell has switched sides and is now on the opposite side of whatever he was on before. Taylor Decker is out. David Montgomery was out. Amon-Ra St. Brown was coming off of an injured toe. Josh Reynolds wasn't 100%. Defensively, C.J. Gardner-Johnson's out. James Houston's out. Aiden Hutchinson came back fully healthy. I could go on and
Zach's
on.
giving us the whole Lions breakdown here.
This defense looked dominant, is all I'm going to say. Had 1 sack going into this week, 7 this week. Pass defense looked shaky last week against Geno Smith. This week against a not as good quarterback in Desmond Ridder. Looked very good. Drake London had, I don't know what his final stats were, but at one point had 1 catch for 23 yards. I could go on and on.
I'll give you this.
Brian Brate's better than Sauce Gardner.
I'll give you this. Zach could go on for the next hour.
Oh my gosh, I could just go off. I love this Lions team.
He's been
waiting
to talk positively about the Lions for a very long time.
Years.
And
I'm finally getting to do it.
I think this game Thursday is going to kind of decide it more for me, but I think Dan Campbell has this team in a very good spot.
Oh, that made me happy.
He's got this team primed for a decent run this season. Maybe playoffs, maybe late playoffs. We'll see. I hope they at least make that playoff spot this year, which winning your division obviously will. I am gonna say for now the Lions, but let me watch this Thursday game, and we'll get to that a little bit. You guys want to reveal some power ratings? You guys want to reveal some power ratings?
Let's tease
we said we were gonna reveal power ratings this week, and we will.
We will.
But you're gonna wait till Thursday. They're not gonna happen on Tuesdays. Bummer. But there's a positive there. There's a silver lining. You just heard the word Thursday. We will be
into that a little bit.
Starting this week. Little pilot episode first because we got to test the whole live. We will be going live on Thursdays at 6 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern. And that is where we will review our power ratings. We're also going to make college football picks there that you cannot see on this episode. Going to help you out with some weekend picks, maybe some bets. We're going to break down Thursday night football and give you a whole lot of action you do not see on Tuesday episodes. So do not miss those. If you want to see those power ratings, don't miss the Thursday episode.
Thursday.
Boys, I think you guys know. We already said it. We did one take already. I think we push NFL predictions off a week because I heard Zach pick the Chiefs to win a Super Bowl.
Whoa! That's a resurface. Get it out of here! I did not say the Chiefs. They suck.
I think Zach needs a week to think on it. I think we go a little heavier on NFL next week, and we're gonna little sneak peek. We're gonna push picks off to next week, and next week we're gonna make some predictions. We're going to come in prepared. We're going to come in ready, and we're going to come in hot. Ready to
I had
NFL
everything else at Super Bowl champs. You said that, and I crumbled. I said the Chiefs, and I hate it. I want to throw up.
He did, but you know what? Next,
it never aired. Didn't happen.
You get a whole week to think
recording.
on it.
Show me the recording. I didn't say it.
I cannot. You get a whole week to think on it now. So we're gonna push predictions off.
Oh gosh,
Think about it. Think about it this time. Zach.
I cannot believe I said that. I need to move on.
Plus, it's
parlay party.
Plus, it's only week 4. We got a whole lot of weeks to predict some stuff. We'll make week 5 NFL predictions, and then we'll revisit them later in the season.
I really said the
Chiefs. No need to rush predictions because obviously we rushed them a little too much. Zach, parlay party.
Oh man, Joe, I said the Chiefs.
Joe, are you ready for your first parlay party, Joe?
Bring on the parlay party.
I'm happy you're excited about this one because parlay party is one of my favorites. For those of you who live under a rock, for those of you who have not watched our episodes,
I think in that excitement, I think I broke my chair.
For those of you who don't follow the podcast, let me explain parlay party. We are going to give our 5 picks for our absolute locks for NFL winners for the week. We're going to build you a little parlay. We're going to give you 5 picks. One of these picks must be a riskier profit boosting pick because, parlays are fun when you get those plus 1,300 odds in there. We're going to track this throughout the season, as you can see. Down on that little bottom right corner there, you can see our record. Unfortunately, bad weekend. We're sitting at 5-5. Have not hit a parlay yet. We're really close week 1. Week 2 got a little ugly. But
interesting games
at the end, we're going to give you a garbage shoot pick. That is the game you should not touch with a 10-foot pole. I promise you. We've been on the button with those games.
I think with this week, I think it's a 300-foot pole.
It might be a 300-foot pole. Let's get into parlay party. Any games jumping out?
First game. I'm not saying my first game. Never mind.
I got the first one. I'm not saying. I like that Chiefs-Jets game.
Gosh dang it.
I like
That's
that
what I want to
game.
say.
My only problem is I see the Jets at some point bouncing back. I see the Jets at some point making a little surge. They're not going to... A team that was Super Bowl hopeful is not going to lay down. I don't think they're winning a Super Bowl, but they're not going to lay down at this point in the season. So I do take the Chiefs to win this game, but I do not take them to cover that 8.5-point spread. Give me the Chiefs money line as our first pick.
I think I take the Chiefs to cover because I think that Jets.
Think the Chiefs win by 9 points?
I think so because one of how good that Chiefs defense has been and how bad Zach Wilson has looked. I think the Jets have a bounce back when they trade for Kirk Cousins. I'm taking Chiefs to cover.
Joe, cover or money line?
Give me the Chiefs money line. I think the Jets will put up some points. I don't have the disfaith in Zach Wilson that a bunch of people have. I think he has an opportunity in New York now without Aaron Rodgers to you got the whole beginning of the season. You got to see the way Aaron operates. I think Zach
75 seconds.
I think Zach has an opportunity to do something, at least a little something in this game.
Thanks, man.
But I don't see them winning. The Chiefs definitely win.
I'm gonna say our first pick, Chiefs money line. Right up above it, I'm taking 49ers to cover that 14-point spread against the Cardinals.
I think the 49ers
7 seconds in the sun. I don't think they have another 7 seconds. I think the 49ers come out and they dominate that game.
I will say this: I like Josh Dobbs as a quarterback. I have been a Josh Dobbs fan since he was at the University of Tennessee. I think he's a great player.
Good.
I think he's a hell of a quarterback, but I think that Niners defense is real. I think they're legit.
Josh Dobbs is a person. Definitely super cool. Can I
rocket scientist? Can I just say that he's a rocket scientist?
About Josh Dobbs. So I'm making our NFL power ratings, right? A little story time. Making our NFL power ratings, right? And a little statistic developed on their quarterback impact. I took several different quarterback statistics, quarterback analytics that are known to be crucial towards winning games. Not crucial to winning games, but towards winning games. put them together into a stat I like to call quarterback impact. And it was spitting out really nice numbers between 1 and 100. And they all made sense. They were all really nice. They all looked good. Tua did rank top of that leaderboard. But Josh Dobbs ranked last. And I could not figure out where in his statistics that made any sense. But everyone ranked 1 to 100. Somehow, some way, Josh Dobbs scored negative 758.
How? He didn't look that.
No, he didn't.
He looked
I don't
pretty
know.
all right.
Like I kept looking at the equation too, and I was like, nothing is different here. Like this is how it's supposed to be. What is happening? So I ended up just making it to where if the number scores below 0, they just get a 0. That stat is also not weighted very high. It is the least weighted item in our algorithm because I don't think quarterbacks are that crucial to winning NFL games. They're big, but I don't think they should be weighted that heavily. So that stat doesn't really do that much anyway. But either way, just a little story there. 49ers to cover that. So that's our first two.
Yep.
One that really jumps out to me.
Let's hear it, Joe.
The Dolphins versus the Bills. I think 2.5 is a good number for the Dolphins. I think they end up winning this one outright. They definitely cover 2.5.
Joe putting that risky pick out early.
I think the Bills are a really good team, but I think this Dolphins team is just way too high.
Right now is the Dolphins go on the road, and not only do they win, but they cover an alternate spread of 2.5 themselves.
Oh yeah, they're winning by 3 or more for sure.
Audience, mind you, the Bills are favored by 2.5 here, so Joe is saying reverse spread here, which would be our risky pick. Dolphins to cover 2.5.
I'm going to have to agree. I think that Dolphins offense looks very good, and I think the Bills defense looks a little shakier than what they were hoping to be at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And I think this is a coming out party.
I like that a lot as our risky
prove
pick.
it, not a coming out party. I think this is a prove it game for the Miami.
I like that a lot as our risky pick just simply because it's only a field goal. I think whoever wins this game wins by a field goal anyway. So if that happens to be the Dolphins, risky pick is out of the way.
It's going to be at least a field goal, so, if not more.
I like that. That is 3 down.
Dolphins by 40.
How about that Cowboys-Patriots game? Are we confident in the Cowboys to take down the Patriots? And do we go money line? Or do you think the Cowboys can touchdown spread the Patriots?
No, I think I'm money line in that one.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys win. I do. I think the Cowboys win. I think the Patriots look good in certain points. I think they have their moments in games, but they ultimately have been crumbling in the biggest moments. Yeah. I think regardless of the Cowboys' defensive struggles in this last one against Josh Dobbs, the guy we just talked about,
Patriots offense just doesn't exist.
And that's where I was trying to go with that. I just don't think the Patriots have an identity on offense. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, give me the Cowboys, and I think they definitely are going to get the money line. I don't think they're beaten by a touchdown, but it's definitely Cowboys.
I like it though. I like that Cowboys money line. They're going to bounce back. You just lost to
that one makes me a little nervous.
You just lost to one of the worst teams in the league. You're at home. I think you bounce back in that one pretty well. That is 4 of them.
I think the other one is I think the other one's easy. I'm not finding it on the list, but it's the Eagles game.
Commanders. Yep.
Yeah, Eagles Commanders. Why can I not see it? There it is. Literally right in the middle
there. Yeah.
I think Eagles cover that. I kind of think they run away with this game. I think the Commanders are not a good team. I think the Eagles offense shines and they put on the performance like they did last year, and they take it to the Commanders.
I like the
history's not repeating itself.
I like the Eagles to win this game, but the Eagles through a now 4-0 start because it's 10:30, admittedly, and we already know that they beat the Bucs tonight. And the Eagles through a 4-0 start have not dominated anybody. They've looked good. They've looked strong, but they've not dominated anybody. And in 2 years past now, they have not looked good against the Commanders. They've looked flat out awful against the Commanders, divisional opponent. So you're going to see that, but it's a consistent thing against the Commanders. They do not perform well. So I will take the Eagles to win this game, but I'm very, very scared about that 7-point spread. I don't know if they win this game by a touchdown.
I give it to the Eagles as well, and I think you go money line. I don't think they win by a touchdown. I think Sam Howell's probably going to have a little bit of a bounce back game after playing a really bad one against a really tough opponent last week. But give me the Eagles still money line for sure.
I like it. I like Eagles money line just because, Zach, I don't think we want to laugh in the face of history. It tends to repeat itself. The Commanders.
I'm good laughing in the face of history.
Commanders have always had the Eagles number. That one scares me.
I'm good at laughing in the face of history because I think the Commanders suck.
So just to recap, we've got the Chiefs. We're Chiefs money lining it against the Jets. We are 49ers to cover a 14-point spread against the Cardinals. We are Cowboys money lining it. We are Eagles money lining it. And we are taking as our risky pick the Dolphins to go on the road and alternate spread beat the Bills by 2.5. I like it. I think that is our best parlay party yet. I'm not going to lie. I think that is really good. Only time will tell. Only Sunday will tell. But I really like that one a lot. Let's pick a garbage shoot game.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, but
Falcons, Jags,
looking over this
Rams,
list,
Colts, Vikings, Panthers.
Looking over this list as we have as a group,
Ravens, Browns.
I don't think you go any route other than that Broncos-Bears game. Simply because both of these teams just lost in historical fashion, and now they play each other. And the Broncos are favored by 3 after losing 70-20. This is an entire Vegas trap. Is all this is. This is a game put out there to make a lot of money from the public because nobody knows what way to bet this game. I would not touch it.
I know which way to bet it, and it's not betting it.
If you want to bet some player props, maybe bet Justin Fields 3 receptions.
Yeah, I was literally about to say that.
maybe bet both teams to produce under 150 yards of offense. Maybe, something like that. Bet some props. I would not touch this game on a winner standpoint.
Take the under on the score, whatever it is.
Take the under.
It's going to be an ugly game, and I think
the score
I don't think our garbage shoot pick is up for question. That game is just disgusting.
The over-under on that game can be literally 12. Pick the under.
Joe, that's your first parlay party out of the way. And I'm honest, I think it's our best parlay party.
And since we're on the topic of the Bears, just one question, Joe.
Zach, you get about 30 seconds to attack Joe about
Justin Fields. What are we saying?
I think he needs a little help still.
Joe is not
He's got it.
entertained by this topic at all. That's going to do it.
I'll give you the answer.
Under the Lights, episode 3. That is going to do it. Joe, we loved having you on. Hopefully that is a very consistent thing.
Appreciate y'all.
I know they're going to love you. But that is going to do it for episode 3. We're going to have another jam-packed episode 4. Under the Lights live coming this Thursday, 6 p.m. Do not miss it. NFL Power Ratings will be there. Zach and I will be there. We'll see if Joe will be there. That might be a little rarer thing on Thursdays, but you never know. You
might get it.
Never know.
But the show
and you might hear me. And it's the FC North, so you might get a little more Justin Fields talk.
But the show, Joe might not be there then. But the show, regardless, we're gonna deliver to you guys at all times. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys had a beautiful night. I hope you have a beautiful Tuesday night when you're seeing this. It's almost Tuesday night for us already, but
Tuesday morning, but you tried.
I tried. That's gonna do it. Episode 3 in the books. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.